All right. Apologies, everybody. Once again, if you've seen our seed stuff, as I apologize in those, and we'll see in the next episode as I'll apologize again. I screwed up the recording. None of Lessons stuff got recorded, so we have to re-record our reaction to this, which means this is technically actually, well, I would say a second time, but technically we've seen the show before we started doing our reaction to the Universal Century. So third to fourth time we might be seeing this episode, but second time in recent reaction history. Also, the notes section will be somewhat cut up a bit, given that we can't really have a back and forth when we're re-recording the notes that were given. So it'll probably be my notes, Lessons notes, etc., back and forth, with no back and forth conversation that we normally have. So once again, apologies. I'm an idiot. But either way, let's go ahead and hop on and do it. Hell, what do you do with a Gundam? I leave it out for the Zeon Force to find, and then I attack the Zeon Forces with my guerrilla units when they come to take the Gundam. Use it to draw them in. That's what I'm saying. You fucking use it. You take its munitions and you use it to create explosives. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team. First off, we have a board. Well, almost knocked my mouse right off my table. First off, we have a board. Alright, and with the board comes the board changelog, where I connected Shiro, Michael, and Terry to the 8th MS team line. I added Kojima and added him to the 8th MS team line, because effectively he's the commander of the battalion, but that makes him related to all the teams, of which we know. Well, technically we do know this. Well, we don't know the 6th. But we know of the 6th, but we also know of the 7th. Because in the first episode, the 7th... I mean, conversely, you could say we know 1 through 7, because they must have existed at some point. So we have notes. I believe you said you have more of them.
I have notes for episode 2, Gundams in the Jungle. By the way, there is a discrepancy between the titles of these episodes in the episodes themselves and the list I found that has all the names of the titles. I'm going with the list. So if it sounds a little off, basically the same title, but reworked because it's the same Japanese, kanji. So it's a translation, but still, hopefully it will be too far off from the episode if you have watched them before. If you haven't, then it's not a problem. So let's start with the notes. First note. I like the scuttlebutt, how the reputation precedes them. One took on an MS while flying a ball, while the other one is known as a team killer. Then again, with the high rate of casualties MS suffers in this war, who isn't a team killer? We're talking about the lieutenant and not the ensign, who's the leader of the squad of the team, and another team member who has a reputation as a team killer. And soldiers are sort of milling around and going like, oh, that's the angel of death or whatever. Not to be confused with the angel of death or the goddess of death from another TV series in the Universal Century. We're not going to go there. But, he's being accused of being, somebody who just has bad luck. So there's that.
So last episode happens on exactly the same day as OG Gundam episode 14. The worst episode of OG Gundam. So while Shiro is struggling here in the jungle, somewhere else in the world, Amuro is pulling timed explosives off of his Gundam. Time be still. We watched all of OG Gundam, and I believe we both agree Time Be Still is the worst episode of all of Gundam so far. Well, I mean, some people would probably make the argument that episode 15, literally the one after Time Be Still, is the worst episode, considering that Tamino tried to erase it from existence. But I would argue that stuff happens in that episode. Time Be Still is, I guess, named aptly time feels like it's still while you're watching that. I don't know how they made a 2-hour-long episode of Gundam, but it felt that way. Well, I mean, I don't really care what Tamino says. I enjoy Tamino's work. I'm watching Voltaix 5, for God's sakes, but at the same time, I'm separating him from his opinion because he thought McQueeve's death wasn't important. I find McQueeve to be one of, say, top 5 most important characters in Mobile Suit Gundam. So to say he's so unimportant, we don't even need to know if he's alive or dead. That is, effectively, you're wrong. You're wrong, Tamino. I don't care if you made it. You're wrong. At the end of the day, I care as much as I can, and that's not a lot.
Second note. So the kid that wasn't excited to fight wanted to pilot a Gundam. When we get the assignments, I don't remember the name of the kid, but the youngest member of, or shortest member of the team, he was like, "Oh, do I get a Gundam?" And it's like the one who's always writing his diary or sending letters to his girlfriend. The character I suspect Macross copied and turned into Luca for Frontier because they have the very similar look to them. And he's like, "Oh, I get a mobile suit," and they're like, "Nope, you get to man the machine gun in this transport. I get to listen to what's going on. You get to shut up." He's like, "Oh man, I wanted a mobile suit." It's like, "No, sucks to be you, kid."
No, I mean, it's like he didn't want to fight. He thought it was pointless back in space. Now that he's on Earth, these things look pretty cool, and I want one. He's basically the guy from Hidden 1 Year War that was with Cadillac all the time, who just wanted a Zaku. The craziest thing for me right now is the conceit that we just have more actual Gundams in the field. When we know how much the war changed just from Amuro having one. Now there's a bunch of them in the background of events that we haven't been seeing.
Next note. I like Karen, and yes, she's voiced by Koyama Mami, who also voices Captain Talia Gladys in Gundam Seed Destiny. Although, to be perfectly honest, I like her here, her role as Karen. I mean, I don't hate Gladys. That's Talia Gladys, Captain Gladys Talia, I believe that's her full name in Seed Destiny. She's not a bad character, but here she has more. If I were to use the terminology of the '90s, I would say she has more spunk. Right, she's more active, more of a presence here, which I really like a lot.
You know, for a secret Xeon base, they sure do keep the outside lights on at night. Yeah, fighting against a ground force actively trying to find them. You're not covered by dirt. I made this comment specifically because we go look at their mountainside fortress, which is just like 16 rows of outside lights on. The camera is at a horizontal view to them. We can see them, which means anybody on the outside, on the ground, because the ground is going to give you a horizontal view, can see them. It's fine, Lessons. You think you're fine and safe on the ground at night, you make your campfire. I'm sure the snipers won't see it.
Note number 4. I like how, again, we're shown that Amada's priority is to keep his teammates alive, even if he himself takes unnecessary risks in turn. I guess his motto is "do as I say" and all of that, right? It's like, oh, he gets a speech. Don't take unnecessary risks. I don't need any heroes, whatever. And then he spends the entire episode trying to prove himself that he can destroy that one zaku. So
it's funny. I guess this is the one time our notes I think are going to overlap. If episode 1 showed that Shiro was more of a heroic personality, then episode 2 showed that he's also a hypocrite. He gives a no heroic speech right after what he did in episode 1, then rushes out to try and prove himself despite that very same speech. More of a minor thing, but when they go past the defensive line, Shiro says, "Lights off, go to IR sensors." But then, when he goes off to investigate the 6th team and the Zaku presence, we see that he still has his lights on. He's a hypocrite. Being excited just means that you're acting on impulse. So if you're acting on impulse and your impulse is to be a hero and not do the thing that you just said, your impulse is to be a hypocrite. I mean, you can't argue with me that he says one thing and does another. Once again, literally your own point was "do as I say," and so on. Not as I do being the other half of that, which is, like a hypocrite would do.
I love the use of sonar. Well, sonar is not correct, I guess. Ground-based telemetry to track land targets. In the face of both Minovsky particles and the thick vegetation, this is a jungle area, other sensors would not work as effectively. Although we're told there are infrared sensors as well. It also gives the action that sense of tension that doesn't exist when you can detect the enemy video game stuff, right? We can just look at the enemy and go like, oh, that's the enemy, has all the stats and everything. Like, we know everything. Not the same thing. You have to rely on the character to go like, oh, no, that's the red comet. Oh, instead of like, getting that tension like, oh, they're getting closer. Where are they? It has that sort of submarine feel to it, which is weird to see in land-based combat, especially with giant robots, but it works well here. So,
I mean, conceivably, the IR sensor should be able to do that because I imagine Zaku has put out a lot of heat. Not for nothing, also, they carry giant heat axes. So, I mean, and also not for nothing, they also put out lots of Minovsky particles. I think the thing to do, we should have done a long time ago, is make a sensor that can detect the, oh God, I can't think of the word I meant to use now. The distribution? That's not the word. The thickness, the density of Minovsky particles. Because if you can detect the outer edge, well, no, because they can't ever seem to detect where the center of the Minovsky particle generation is. So if you could figure out, okay, thinner over here, thinner over here, thinner over here, that must be the border, thicker over here, thicker over here. If a circular generation or a spherical generation, you should be able to determine which parts are denser to at least give yourself a directional to where the center mass is. So you can at least point yourself out what direction a Zaku is based on well, maybe more so in like a singular aspect. A group of them might throw that off. But again, if you're developing the technology, you could develop it and then try and refine it from there. Not something a person could do, but something a computer could do. The point is that we just don't focus on. Yeah, well, assumedly, these Gundams have it too, because, he tries to sleep his way through walking forwards. I don't think he's like butt on the controller pushing forwards. Old MMO style. I put a coin in my forward key and just hands off for the rest of the day. Shit, there was something else. Oh, I can't remember what I was going to say now. I covered the IR sensor. Oh, the idea that all Zakus have the same sound generation. Well, he goes through this whole system of what is this line like? What is because we know it's sonar, so it's got to be impact related or I guess the gait of a Zaku walk. Well, maybe, but I mean, what if it's missing an arm? That affects its weight, and this one wasn't missing an arm at the time, but would be later. So, I don't know what the fuck this is. It's not as heavy as a Zaku. What happens if its leg is a little damaged from a fight? Because these are also clearly not being repaired that well. Well, no, because this is ground sonar, remember? Yeah, which means it's not working off of the engine noise. This isn't actual, we're not hearing for oh, that's the sound of a certain type of subs. Very specific, the way it. Sorry, I know the words. Cavitation? Cavitation, that's the word I'm looking for, right? Right. But certain subs have different sounds for cavitation as well. So you would hear, oh, that sub is now actually accelerating from a slow moving. So now there's a cavitation noise. It's very specific to that kind of sub. Anyway, we're not doing that because we're literally just hearing vibrations through the ground. Like, oh, I can tell by the way that the water's rippling on that glass that a T-Rex is about to attack us. Very specifically, the T-Rex footprints are that distance wide. So that's why it's boo, boo, boo. While at the same time, it has to be that heavy to make that sort of ripple. That's effectively what we're getting here, just with a higher tech behind it. But anything could change that. Is that a custom Zaku? Fuck, now we don't know what it is. Is that Zaku missing an arm? Boom, it's weighted to one side and less heavy. Anything could change this. The fact that they have a generic 2-line pattern for all Zakus By the way, he says Zaku. So Zaku 1, Zaku 6. You know, which Char Custom? Which Zaku are we talking about? Technically, a Commander Zaku would weigh more than a regular Zaku. The horn is massive. The horn is massive because it's, scaled up to an 18-meter tall thing. And I'm going to assume it's not hollow. That's extra weight. That's extra weight's going to throw off a whole seismograph. Because you don't want it just snapping off. Because that would be a weak point. If you can snap that off, then the entire thing it's connected to has to be that much weaker then. Oh no, I'm not talking about intentionally. I'm not talking hand to hand. I mean just a stray shot or something. Anything could happen. Legitimately anything. Also, I thought they were going to sneeze. Legitimately also, we're not out of the realm of slug thrower weapons. Thing could just get shot by anything going by in space. But also, if you were in the realm of talking about melee, you'd want the thing to be useful. In the case, if you're in a hand-to-hand fight and you're worried about someone snapping your commander horn off, fucking use that thing as a weapon. No, hell, if you're in hand-to-hand and you've got both of their hands, boom, you got a third weapon that they don't have. Sorry, you can't tell, but my other hand is meant to be grabbing a hand. Push to talk. Boom, got your hand. Boom, got your other hand. They're going to go with their knees. You're going to slam them with a horn. Hell, you can counter with a knee because you've got all 4 appendages they've got. Block a knee. Grab both of their arms. Slam them in the head. You've got a horn that's not going to destroy your sensor package. They've got nothing blocking them unless they're a commander, but GMs don't have commander horns. We only established this for Xeon. Keyword for the day, Absolus. Given that this is early October, the fact that this Xeon operation is working on a prototype means it was something going on before McQueeve and Kycelia gave the order to ramp up all prototype operations. Well, not specifically so much because we gave up a lot of the prototypes before October. Remember, that was Hidden One-Year War. Is that, these are all the failed prototypes from January onwards. So, not really. We haven't really been messing with a lot of prototypes since then. Then Amuro attacked that one mining base to Kycelia and McQueeve were at, and they're like, fuck it, ramp up production of all prototypes. That's why I said Amuro really fucked up the war, because that's when they started developing every goddamn thing that they could. But this is an example of one prototype, I don't know if Big Zom was actually a product of the McQueeve and Kycelia thing or not, but this is a product of some prototypes that was actually existing before the Kycelia McQueeve incident.
Note number 6. Also interesting that Amada, which is the ensign in charge of the 8th MS team, is the only one wearing a spacesuit groundside. I guess it is supposed to provide cooling, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I would also think that the MS cockpits have environmental controls, but then again, if they were meant for only ground combat, the Fedis might have skimped on that detail to save time and money. Everyone else is wearing short, regular uniforms, button down. I think Karen's just wearing her shirt, a sleeveless shirt, in the cockpit. It doesn't matter if you get hit. If you get hit and hung up and you're dead. So no amount of armor is going to protect you from that. And the suits are designed for space. Well, again, I would think that both the spacesuit and the cockpit would be environmentally controlled. Otherwise, in space, you would either get too hot or too cold, right? But like I said, maybe these they don't work the same way in atmosphere.
I don't know. I think again, I pointed that out during the episode, so I believe you pointed out that he's just not used to ground combat, which he's not. Sanders is fine. Sanders accomplished the task. Sanders is the one who killed the other Zaku. Sanders is just the team killer. That's his problem. Shiro comes from side 2, so assumedly a lot of his training was also in space. I have no comment. Actually, I'd assume that the inside of the Gundams don't have. These Gundams specifically, I don't know how they relate to the RX-78-2. Because if they did, why would he be walking back to the base with the cockpit open? one, he would already know that he thinks it's super fucking hot down here and uncomfortable. Two, it's clearly not. Yeah, two, it's clearly not just so they can see him. I don't think they're going to assume that Zeon is going to just start walking blatantly in. So I have to think he thinks it's really hot and it's actually cooler outside than inside of the sealed Gundam cockpit. Aina's brother requires medicine for something. Surely that will become a plot point. Can't be easy to get medical resupply in a hidden Xeon base on Earth, and it's only going to get harder as time goes on. I mean, the thing that came to my mind is obviously. I say obviously because I'm about to throw out. Obviously, Osama bin Laden. To my benefit, you already called out SEAL Team 6 earlier, so this isn't for nothing. But the thing is, how do we get Osama bin Laden? Well, actually, he's diabetic. He needs dialysis. His medical problems are a means by which we can track him. Same thing here, except this is more of a, hey, you're in the end times of a war that you're not exactly winning, and we do know that everyone's going to abandon Earth, so you're probably not getting resupplied if that's a rare medical condition you've got.
A short note, and then Amada ego takes over. Again, reference to the fact that he gets into this fight. Karen knocks him down. He's like, "Oh, why do you knock me down? Whatever. Turn out your lights," or all of that. And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go after this one Zaku." I was like, "Dude, you just gave the speech early on about nobody being a hero. Now you gotta decide to be a hero. Way to go, jackass."
Well, yeah, because he says he has an insubordinate second in command, which he's referring to her because he doesn't understand it. She tried to save his life. Everyone's cursed. We already had this conversation. It's not about any of them. They're all going to die. This is just Gravity Front. This is more Gravity Front. This time it's animated. Yeah. The main characters of Gravity Front all died. Unless you want to count Cole Mata as a main character. No, I'm talking about in our little hypothetical. Keep up with the hypothetical. If the idea is that a sniper killed Shiro, then the other two people who are also cursed would have been killed by the sniper. And then we find out that the sniper has like the death god of Xeon floating over their shoulder or some shit. No, it would actually have to be 8th MS team. Like, we need a scene where Terry is talking to the death god or some shit. That's a character I hope never comes back.
More criticisms about Amada. And I'll read these two notes back to back because they're basically one and the same. Getting out of the cockpit to scout, smart. Leaving your MS, your mobile suit, out in the middle of nowhere unattended, not so smart. Also, drinking from a stream, in my experience at least, that may not be the best idea without testing the water first. And of course, you got shot at. What the heck are you doing peeping on a woman like that? You're like you didn't get. You're lucky you didn't get shot, you moron. He got shot at. You're gonna get shot. I want to make that distinction, right? So those two things happen. Essentially, our ensign, who is out and about, alone in the jungle, gets off his mobile suit, goes scouting, presumably leaves the suit open, runs into a stream where he gets to drink the water without testing it first, and on top of that, he sees a girl or young woman naked, swimming, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and watch her while she does that." And of course, she does the one thing that she would do in a war zone. She goes and grabs a gun and starts shooting at him because, she doesn't want to get assaulted by a stranger. So there's that. He's not very smart at all.
We already had the whole conversation about drinking from a stream live while we were doing the reaction. I don't know. I think it's probably weirder if you do suspect she's going to shoot at you when it looks like she's just completely naked. I don't think he suspected that she had a gun. I think he was suspecting that all the worst I'm going to do is she's going to swim over here and slap the shit out of me. And I can handle that. I'm military trained. So the fact she just swims over to a rock and has a gun.
Like I mentioned earlier, Michelle, which is a younger member of the team, or the shortest one anyway, gives me strong Luca vibes from Macross Frontier, for those who've been watching that series. even the pictures of his girlfriend, Bibi, remind me of Nanase, the love interest that he has in Frontier. I don't think they ever get together. He never actually spilled the beans. He goes like, "Oh, I actually love you." So, you know.
No, we see her whole body. Not her whole body. We see her. She's wearing clothes. No, there's like 3 pictures of her. Well, one of them is the face, which is why when she wears glasses, just like not saying anything. But the other one is them standing next to each other. That's why I had the whole commentary during the reaction of it seems like she's just a girl that he saw when he was like on vacation somewhere. Like I don't think they're actually tied together that much. I think he's writing. I don't remember. So this is 2 theories. He's writing letters to someone who's dead. So not even a point really, or like maybe Bibi's younger sister or something like that. Or 2, this is like literally he met a girl in Da Nang, one of those. Because it doesn't, I don't know. Just the context of the 3 pictures makes it look like this is just a girl I met, and now I'm writing letters back to her.
And my last note, I think I know why the watch beeps so much. It is to tell the owner that it's time to give her brother his medicine. Because we do get scenes intercut with this where the, I was going to say SAF base, but it isn't. It's Xeon base. And the woman that we meet in the first episode that helps Amada survive, the derelict ship, she lands, meets with her brother, and then later reminds him that it's time for him to take his medicine. So I guess and she's the one who gave her the watch to Amada, and the watch beeps every so often. So Amada has to go like, "Oh, why is this beeping?" It's like, well, because that's time for him to give her medicines to her brother. Those are all my notes.
I mean, we know that. That was given the context. That's why I wrote this note, because Ina says, "Oh, I almost forgot." She clutches her chest and then looks at the clock. It's time for you to take your medicine. It was given to us by context. I think the watch is a fucking dumb context clue, though. He carries it in his chest. You see that thing is like this fucking big, and it's spike edge wings. You roll over. Oh, I gotta stop myself. People complain about sitting on their keys. Jesus Christ, that thing. Also, never mind. She kept it in her pocket. Never mind. The amount of time Shiro just left his Gundam unattended, not only in contested territory, but where a native population also lives, it's shocking that Zeon didn't get its hands on Gundam design specs with how easy it would have been to have captured Shiro's or even Amuro's after he deserted. The most important machines of the war constantly just being left alone. Yeah, God forbid it's bright white against a green and brown background. But also, again, it's the thing I brought up before, that one sniper could have won this war. Like, oh, look, it's Shiro. He's coming. Boom. He's got the cockpit open. He's just kind of asleep. Doesn't fucking care. He's apparently in Gundam Vietnam. Just, oh, look, it's Shiro. It looks like he's dead. Oh, he's not asleep. One fucking sniper, strategically positioned anywhere in this war, could have won the day.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
I hate that.
I know you had the cigarette butts.
Yeah,
but I love the music.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the music. I'm just physically repulsed by cigarette butts, and this is very...
Yeah, disgusting.
Well, I would say Vietnam era, where people didn't give a shit that much about... Like, in movies and media like that, there'd be, like, just ashtrays just filled with cigarette butts. People
I think it was in the late 80s and the 90s where they started changing... that people stopped smoking on screen, and then have the villains the ones who always wants to smoke.
Like I said, I'm just physically repulsed by it. Like one of I would gladly clean a public restroom before I would clean out the ashtray thing outside the front of a retail building.
Yeah. Poor bastard. Food got rained on.
I don't know that it's actually being rained on. It could have a film of what do you call it, saran wrap or something on top of it.
Yeah. You still have to eat it under the rain, I guess.
Well, no, they have tents. We saw it when we first went there. It looks like the same encampment that they first met the commander at, who was under a tent. Also, the area has buildings, remember? Where they keep the Gundams in.
But it might be a forward base, not the main base.
I mean, they're supplied. They're not, like, eating out their own rations, which I would assume a forward base would.
I mean, you can have hot rations and the mobile kitchen. That happens a lot too.
Well, I mean, I would assume a mobile kitchen would also have a retractable awning. Like if a food truck can have it, then a mobile kitchen can have it. Sorry, the instant desire of me to talk about glasses and how they fit on a person's head.
Yeah.
A reference no one's going to get unless we're watching both this and the Gundam Seed Destiny reactions.
Yeah.
Can't see that. Literally
Yeah.
can't see that. It goes to, again, the Gundam Seed comment about Atherin wouldn't see the other pilot. He wouldn't know what he looked like. You know, conceivably, given the motor engine torque required for the arms, he didn't need to pull back at all. The amount of damage they could probably do just by pushing forwards. They should have knives.
I mean, the extra torque will help, cut through.
Well, I hate this, but I've added extra work to myself. I did not have the subtitles on, so I'm going to have to edit those in.
Yeah. When I started talking, I was like, oh shit, no subtitles.
Well, to be fair, they weren't really talking all that much in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Impact?
No, it's Roger, basically. Roger.
Okay.
Yokai.
No, Yokai is a different thing.
No,
Yokai is a spirit.
it actually pronounced very similar.
Well, I think one has a Y and the other has an H.
That's Hokkaido. That's an island.
No, you were saying Hokai.
It's yokai.
No, you were saying Hokai. You were enunciating with an H.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're saying Hokai. Oh, that's right. I remember the first time we watched this, I said I was going to go back and check the river names. Yeah, remember that time I was perving on an underage girl? I'm the hero, by the way.
Yeah. I do like the fact that they have to clean the guns and stuff like that. Those little details are... Because, yeah, we know that they did that in 79, but they did it back in White Base. And
I also pointed out the stupidity of keeping this thing close to your chest, given how spiky it is. What are the odds of that happening?
yeah.
Now, back to my job as a glorified military chimney sweep.
Yeah. Also makes sense that you don't want to tangle with the local guerrillas. You don't want to make enemies of them. And you have no reason to believe that they'll be on your side necessarily.
I can tell by that specific little bit of dirt on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Look, I think we all figured out from Jane Goodall that you don't fuck with gorillas. And yes, I did spend the last minute and a half trying to remember who the name was.
And he made a mistake.
I was ready to shoot a small girl in the face. Who are you people? By all means, they should have just shot him dead, left that cockpit looking like Roy Fokker's cockpit, and taken the Gundam.
I mean, could they know how to pilot or maintain it, though?
I don't think it matters about maintaining it. You're a guerrilla force. You're going to use it until it's destroyed.
I mean, the problem... Yeah, no, but the problem is in situations like this, the guerrilla force doesn't use tanks and the like, because it's
they
a waste
use
of
any
time.
weapon. They use any weapon available to them. They're not going to overlook a fucking Gundam.
No, but the problem is...
Because your argument is it's too good of a weapon for them to use. It's like, no.
No,
any
it's
weapon.
not that too good. It's... They don't have the ammunition for it. They don't have the...
They use it until it's spent.
It's spent in like 5 minutes. It's just... It won't
It
be
still
good
can do
in
a lot
anything.
more than any of your guerrilla shit can do in 5 minutes.
Not really. Not really. I mean, it had very specific use.
Yeah, and you use it for that one time.
It's like ending a guerrilla warfare like F-35. What the fuck are you gonna do with an F-35?
Bomb something. It's got as many bombs in it as it has. You're not gonna get any more. You've got a one-use, high military asset. You're gonna use it one time. You use anything you've got. God, I would not want you on my team who's trying to argue, we just captured a tank. Get rid of that thing. We got no use for that. Fuck you, it's a tank. You know what I can do? I can run into the enemy HQ with it and then bail. It's a fucking tank. I'm not going to use it in, like, general warfare status. I'm not going to, like, assume the battlefield with it. I'm going to run it into them. I'm going to try and run people over with it. Hell, what do you do with a Gundam? I leave it out for the Zeon Force to find, and then I attack the Zeon Forces with my guerrilla units when they come to take the Gundam. Use it to draw them in. That's what I'm saying. You fucking use it. You take its munitions and you use it to create explosives. Also, do you know a dentist? Because I seem to only have one tooth. Sorry, this is that anime thing that even if you visibly get shown having teeth knocked out of your mouth, the next shot, you're going to have all your teeth again for some reason. By the way, does anyone notice I'm wearing a bandolier that has literally nothing on it? Almost like it's no use as a bandolier. It's in fact making me hotter because it's more clothes here in the... We literally have no side in this war. That clock is made by warts. Okay, I think they forgot what show they were drawing for, because that guy on the left is clearly from some fantasy anime.
Yeah.
God, if only we had a way to track people on our own team.
えるんだ。あんたたちと連邦共通の敵はジオンのはずだ。占拠された村に設置した統治下を潰せば。
Well, I mean, really, what has the Federation done for us lately?
作戦実行のため仲間たちは俺を待っている。村をジオンから解放すればあんたたちの仲間だって自由になれるんだ。頼む、俺を行かせてくれ。
I mean, these guys got to have eyes on this base, and
Well-
somebody's got to come in and is like, oh, there's an attack on that base. Yeah.
Well, no, the base is the village. That's what the problem is. That's the argument he's making. Is you, if I get my plan through, the village will be free. Your friends will be free too. Not that Amada's making many friends here, like Shiro.
持った部下なんだ。まだ多くを知らない仲間たちを俺は知らせたくないんだ。行かせてくれ。
I wish it had been a thing where they had different people every episode.
Yeah.
Even Macross was doing that.
こいつを使ったらあの村を変え
7, though, I meant Macross 7.
あの村には私たちの仲間がいる。この際ジオンの奴らにいいようにされるより。
よし、約束しよう。村は解放する。
You shouldn't promise things you can't actually
True.
knowingly do.
医薬品なら好きなだけやる。だから。
Go figure, this village has a red hatter in it.
自由にしてくれ。
でもこいつは大丈夫。私に負い目があるもん。
We all find this situation hilarious.
Yeah.
That you peeped on a young illegal girl.
父さん、私が監視するから。
この通り言い出したら聞かない子でね。少尉さん、ここは一つ休戦といきますか。
Enemy of my enemy.
I never really know how those eye patches are meant to work.
Hmm.
They rest-
I mean-
okay, no, when it was on the previous scene, it was way further up on his head.
Oh.
Like, it would just slip over the edge of his head if he, like, moved too much.
はあ。泥足で。こんなことやってる暇ないのに。
I think anyone who's seen any of the character art I've had in these shows, I think eye patches are just the fucking coolest.
おい、行くんなら早く乗れ。
I understand that missing an eye, not the funnest thing ever, but at
No.
the same time, you do get
Yeah, you
like
need those. Yeah.
you do get like plus 100 points in the coolest looking category.
あんたよりは世間を知ってるさ。
あ、
なんだよ。
That's easily a plus 2 on character appearance when it comes to
ダメだ。これは借り物なんだ。3時半。あと30分しかない。
あんたが持ってても似合わねえよ。
お前な。
to be honest, it doesn't suit anyone. Maybe Flavor Flav, but that's it.
キキロジータ、急ぐんだろシロ。
Rosita. So she's Kiki Little Rose, I guess.
前に立つんじゃない。
Well, remember this is also the future,
Yeah.
近道じゃない。
so you know a lot of
何に沿ってくのが一番なんだ。
People moving around.
yeah migration.
道なんてないぞ。
River, a lot deeper than you'd expect it to be,
Yeah.
because it's already like 9 meters deep right now.
ベレドは上の方での動きは今のところ変化なし。隊長。
いつまで待たせる。
アウトだぞ。
And now it's over 18 meters deep, assuming that these things are as tall as the RX-70
Gundam. Yeah.
2-2.
Probably the same. Probably you will make it the same size because there's no reason to make them smaller or
Well,
larger.
because they don't look like the RX-72. Is it RX-72 or 71? I want to say 72. For some reason,
78.
71 is in my head.
I think it's 78.
I don't think it's 78. That's a year before it came out.
勘弁してくれよな。これも死神のせいか。死神？おめえだよ。
Nope, you're right. RX-78-2.
ノリス大佐。
Which would make sense if the year 79 and the original concept of the machine was in the year before, it would get the title when it was original concept. Sometimes it isn't, sometimes it gets a name when it's released. You know, military nomenclature can be all over the place.
Clamp, you got no chance at this. I'm sorry, Clamp's brother, you've got no chance at this. Although, to be fair, Clamp, by this timeline, is still alive, I think?
Yeah. They haven't attacked the...
Well, no, I think it's September right now. Although I don't remember what episode Clamp died in. I'll say something in the 20s. Okay, yeah, this is October. So... And Mobile Suit Gundam DOG goes to episode 22 in October, so... I think Clamp is dead. So I know it seems tangential to you guys in the audience, but I'm really trying to keep my timeline of events correct.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm keeping track of what episodes happen on which days.
Yeah. If I know the original Gundam didn't have that camera, but it makes sense you would have a camera like that.
Well, I mean, it's surprisingly low tech. High tech, maybe, for the 70s, but low tech considering when 8th MS Team came out. Which means that they made it a bit retro on purpose, which is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, this is just our rope motors. Yeah, never worry. Everyone comes when I'm here.
Yeah.
Something else they said a lot of in the 70s. Just put your keys in the bowl. Very classic action sounds in Gundam. The music, though, I meant the OST.
Yeah.
So the Kaiser helmet is really not necessary here in your Gundam.
Yeah.
In your Zaku.
True.
Then again, Char's wasn't either. Oh yeah, that's something else we completely missed due to the re-recording, the whole helicopter argument.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not asking to have it again, I'm just indicating I remember specifically there was one. I know this has nothing to do with anything, but the fact that she's the Master Chief and his visual screen is really blue on her thing when she's calling him.
Yeah.
Cortana.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I get it.
There's no reason to color him super blue. Go ahead, meet your brother. God, I can't wait to look up what his name was. Whoever the fuck that guy was, and see if he was related to Clamp, because, you know, I don't know what makes you look that way, but...
Yeah.
The Zaku eye flash would be so much more intimidating if we didn't see it just did it at random all the time.
We have underwater combat.
The worst kind. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Also, you'd think your screens would be set up for that.
Yeah,
To be flash resistant.
guess not.
仕留めたか。
わかんないよ。
水中戦ができるやつがいたとはな。
They have a guy that can fight underwater. Like that's something special or something.
Well, I
You
mean,
know.
my problem here is that this guy should be walking sideways or flying sideways to try and get out of here. We know his all frontal screens have been destroyed, and the only thing we saw is he has a screen on his right. So either he is like radar is weighing through this.
I mean, he was flying like this, so
Well, he was
Like
jumping
this,
out
so-
that way, but he was, I don't know. He should be completely in the blind here almost. Don't worry, guys. They have a church. That must mean they're all good guys.
yeah, like no churches get shut up in in war crimes.
No, I meant more so that we're supposed to empathize with them because they're Christian.
Yes.
Because it looks like an old-style missionary. Come on, guys. I got all my porno mags in there.
捕虜護送車両の手配完了しました。
ご苦労。
しかしこのありさま。
こいつらなんとかしてくださいよ。約束したことだ。彼らの気の済むようにしてやれ。
Also, I
Not
mean,
the
kind
Gundams,
of
not the
additionally,
Mobiles.
additionally supplying the gorillas could help us in the long run.
Yeah.
今日は遅れてすまなかった。彼。
シーラ、
なんだよ。
彼女、時計の持ち主。
違う。絶対違う。
あの男が
There was a soldier in the background. I was hoping they panned back to him.
So now we think
So
that
I was
she's
waiting to
interested in him.
see. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
obviously not. No, there was a soldier in the
not
background who was
Karen.
standing
I'm
next
talking
to a
about-
door, and I was like, "Where the fuck did this guy come from?"
Yeah.
Because the only people here should be the Gundam operators,
Yeah,
and that was just some random Earth Federation soldier with a gun.
Yeah.
It's like, did we
It could be
just catch
stolen
somebody who was AWOL?
That also could be a thing. By the way, this is the second Kiki that we have so far.
Yeah, well, the one I'm used to rides a broomstick.
No, wasn't Kiki one of the girl on the trio of the kids in White Base?
Yeah.
He doesn't ride a broomstick.
Yeah, but Kiki, if Kiki's delivery service does.
So yes, I know. Yeah.
Well, you're indicating as though no Kiki rides a broomstick, so that's your final point.
Hmm.
I said the one I'm familiar with as Kiki's delivery service, I think, is probably the third anime I ever watched.
Yeah.
So it's the one that's always in my head.
The old man always drinking.
Well, he's the one that first gave Shiro a shot before he even saw
Mhm.
Shiro. Back
Yeah.
when, can't remember the other guy's name, the guy who
Mhm.
does the sonar job,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Was shit talking him.
Mhm.
So I guess he's reading the manual?
I think it's such a book.
No, I remember I went over
What?
the. Hold on.
西部エリアでの作戦行動中、サンダースが我が8小隊からの転出要請を申し出た。例の噂は耳にしていたが、これほど思い詰めていたとは。そんな時我々はとんでもないものと遭遇してしまった。敵の秘密兵器か。
It was the moon. Majora's Mask is real.
第 08MS 小隊、頭上の悪魔。
No, remember my notes in episode 2 from episode 1 is that I tried to read what was in the book because a couple of
Yeah.
the closer shots of it when it's flying at the camera,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can read what it says, and it's about cockpit, and it says the word Gundam. I can't remember. I don't have my notes open.
Okay,
and
yeah,
my
yes,
note at the
field
time-
manual, yeah.
Well, my note at the time was that how do they know that the Gundam is out there operating? Because without the context that they are themselves writing other versions of the Gundam, which would then
Yeah.
make more sense if he's not reading about the exploits of Amuro and the Gundam. He's reading
Yeah.
about his own Gundam.
Yeah. If it's a field manual, it makes sense.
Well, again, it's hard to make out. And the bits, because again, it's not only it's finding the shots where it's coming at the screen, and then there's like 2 of those, clipping those and then taking them to an image translation because it's in Japanese. So then, as good as the image translator is to figure out what the words on the page are.
That's a lot of work.
Well, I mean, that's the shit that I do when I'm taking my notes. Well, some shows will surprise you.
Yeah, true.
Like, I showed you my my screenshots of Madoka Magica where they're doing like math on the board, and I'm sure if I was smarter about math, I'd be able to get actual stuff like what the show is about, because that show is like a fucking headache trying to parse what I think might be the thing. Because I think it's also a time loop anime. Well, I know Madoka Magica is a show with not a secret. The word's not coming to me. Trick. M. Night Shyamalan is known for. I'm asking
last minute
you.
reveals. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. So I'm trying to guess what's going on. I'm only on episode 2 at the moment, and I have all these theories. But I think if I knew more math, that would pan out. But all I can do is take the screenshots of the text that's on the screen and try and figure that out. Like the same way that I do with Gundam Seed. All the time we get like a record of somebody, and it all turns out to be like a news report about genetics from 2001. And I don't mean like 2001 the show. I mean an actual news report that I can find on the internet, like Yahoo News, from like 2001. So it's like, oh well, this was less informative. Versus like when I did it back in '86. '86, I could like take screenshots of like stuff written in the background, and it was actually informative. Like, I remember I did one once for the battle map in '86, because they're generally just holding a position against an attack force that's constantly attacking them from all sides. And I could take a screenshot of one, and then a screenshot from like episode 26, and it's like, oh, okay, they have fully encompassed them here, here, and here, but down here it's wide open, and it turns out, oh, later in the episodes, they're attacking from the south. Who would have guessed? Except for somebody paying attention to images in the background. Also, '86, like they put papers on the desk, and it's so well drawn or animated that you can zoom in, and the words still remain on the page. Not like the blurry shit you see in older anime. Like, oh, okay, I'm reading their orders that he just threw on the paper, and it's literally saying these are suicide orders, essentially. Like, you're expected to go out there indefinitely and fight until you're dead. It's like, oh, okay, that gives more context to what he's actually saying to them versus what their written orders are.
Yeah.
So some shows really pan out, and you never know what show you're watching until you actually try and do it. Like, I think we talked about this in some of the earlier Gundam stuff, where the stuff on the screen is just like little blocks. It's like, oh, that doesn't fucking mean anything. No point in trying to figure this out.
It's filler.
Yeah.
Filler stuff. There's a term for it when they do that filler. I forgot what the term was. Where you do like PDF instructions or just random stuff, or computer screens are just like
that's what I
DOS prompts. And
ironically,
stuff like that,
'86 was only guilty of that one time. Like literally every other fucking thing. Like I looked at so many orders, like things that were only on like 1 second or 1 millisecond, because they would go by in a however long one frame is, a sixth of a second. They would go by that quickly, and I could stop on them, and they would be words, and there'd be a whole page of information. The one time when she's visiting her friend that works at the like a neurological center, who does like the whole brain scan thing, and they've got images on the background of a board, and they show like how the neural system works and everything. And then I zoom in, read the word, translate the words, and they're literally an advertisement for Adobe. It's literally something Adobe is selling. And I was like, well, makes no sense to me.
Thinking of upgrading, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, no, it's like written, like in universe, somebody had written this on a whiteboard. So it's like, well, it doesn't make any sense in context.
Nope.
I mean, it would have been a better payoff if there was like, use this code to redeem. Like, oh, that's interesting at least. Something for us that are like really diving in deep here. You gave us a reward for it. Cool. That would have been awesome. No, literally just an advertisement. I had to research what the advertisement was for.
Yeah, another great episode. I like the little details. I like how, especially when they were cleaning the guns and doing the whole maintenance thing. Those are the things that makes it feel like this is not a real war. We're talking about giant robots, of course.
Well, technically, it is a real war in universe.
Yeah, but it feels like, this is the kind of things that you expect to happen, right? And the things that they need to do in order to fight. It's not just getting the robot. Robot does all the wonderful, great things and then goes back to base, and you don't see any of that, right? It's it puts the real in the real robot scenario, where ironically in Gundam, it skirts the line. It's supposed to be the real robot show, but a lot of times you have these fantastical weapon systems that are just, overpowered and stuff like that, right? Although here in the next time on, we might see one of those, but
I just wish that the impetus of the last couple episodes hadn't been I looked at an underage girl naked.
yes.
And I just double checked because it wasn't spoilery to know Kiki is 17 years old, which is technically, when 8th MS Team came out, not underage if you're Japanese. However, as I've implicated before, you are beholden to the age of consent of the country you come from, not the country you're in. So, here's the problem. Shiro comes from the colonies, so I have no fucking idea what it comes from there. But he is 23 years old, by the way.
Yeah.
Which crosses the 18-year-old line. Technically, I guess, if Grandpa there was actually her grandpa and not just some actual elder of the village that she doesn't know, he could give parental consent, in which case it would be okay legally.
Oh, he says his dad.
I don't know.
Otasa. Otasa was the word I think that she uses.
Yeah, I don't know. She could be calling him daddy in a real creepy way. Like, I was thinking about making that joke in there that this isn't even my grandpa. Like, when she was hanging off of him or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, they didn't put that in the subtitles, so I don't care what they said.
And then later on, when she's like, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" and it's like, "No, it isn't." I'm saying,
I don't think it matters when you put him like in the eating out position. Like, I don't think it matters at this point what you do.
It's supposed to, like, oh, she's falling for him. It's like,
I think, and like the point here is that this is a Japanese show. It aired in Japan, where 17 was the age of consent at the time, I believe, because I think it doesn't change until like the late 90s, where they go 18 like everybody else instead of 16. But again, point being here, I'm over 40. I don't know how old you are, and the idea of being attracted to a 17-year-old at this point in my life is something that is, I think, outwardly repulsive to everybody. Although, to be frank, I think the idea of me with anybody is outwardly repulsive to anybody.
I'm not frank, but I get what you're pointing to say.
Right. Don't call me Shirley. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, a little bit off-putting. Well, majorly off-putting, but it's one of those things that you just have to move past if you want to enjoy anime. So that's why I don't want to be the guy who's like, I love anime. Now let me harp on the problems of anime for the next 20 minutes. It's like, I think we all understand that there's things that you just have to accept as an anime enjoyer, that somebody new to anime could instantly be put off of anime for having. You gotta gently ease people into anime.
There's a joke there that I'm not gonna make, and therefore I'm gonna move on and say that overall I really like this. I like the combat. I like the situation. I like everything about this episode. This is a pretty solid episode all around. Yeah.
Well, I remember the argument you didn't make this time, you made last time. Not the helicopter thing. The element of them taking all the materials after the fight was over. You were so against that the first time we watched. And this time I brought it up as like keeping the gorillas supplied would be a good thing. And you're like, yeah, that'd be a good thing. It's like, okay, well, we agree this time, I guess.
Well, There's also handing them over their own vehicle, taking whatever they had the Sion on. Like,
no, they weren't taking the vehicle. They were just taking everything off of the vehicle and from the vehicle.
Oh yeah, that stuff. That's the part that's like, oh, so now we can't use this because you tore it apart.
No, they didn't
Including-
tear it apart. They like took everything that wasn't bolted down. I mean, it still operates as a sonar type vehicle. Like it can still do the thing to the ground, and it's still operationally effective. It just doesn't have armament anymore. And to be fair,
Oh, well.
what the fuck is this thing gonna do to a Zaku? This thing shouldn't be in a fight. If it gets into a fight, they were already fucked. So I'm not too hard off on them stealing like munitions and all the dirty mags that guy probably had in there.
Yeah.
I don't figure these guys are getting a lot of mail.
Oh, they don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the infrastructure of the country is because I don't know what country this is. The only clue I would have is if I did the research on the map and the river thing that I said I was going to do before, but that will come, I guess, on Monday.
It's supposed to be somewhere in Southeast Asia. So
No, I know that,
pretty
but
big.
I like
That's a
to
pretty
figure
big
these things
region,
out the same way that we tried to figure out where the white base came down in North America, or where Jaburo really is. You know, I like to figure these things out. We already had a discussion. You don't need to try and figure it out now. We've argued many times over multiple episodes. It'd be insane to start arguing about it again after we're already out of Mobile Suit Gundam.
No. I'm talking about this show. If we just limit it to French Indochina, at least 3 countries there.
I don't know why you're limiting it to French Indochina. Is it based on the names? Because, like, literally, I would say we could be in Korea, we could be in Vietnam, we could literally be in the South Pacific. This could be somewhere in the Philippines.
No, this wouldn't be. Well, no, it wouldn't be Korea. I don't think it is Korea.
The environment looks similar.
If you're talking about Southeast Asia, it wouldn't be Korea.
It could be.
But if you want to narrow,
there's nothing
Korea
here
to
that
the
makes me
north,
think it's not Korea.
because it's Southeast Asia, not Northeast Asia.
I would like to also
That's
indicate
why-
that Southeast Asia is something you've put out there. It has not been
It is
said in the
Southeast Asia.
show. Again,
Yeah.
we can't use elements of things that we might have seen before. We're coming at this as though this is our first time watching, which is to say we're keeping notes and everything. Because otherwise we could just say, hey, I remember how the show ends. You want to talk about that? No, it's not the way we're doing it. So until they say where we're at, free game on guessing. So when you say it's French Indochina or something shit like that, I'm like, where's the evidence coming from? It's like, did somebody speak in a dialect that you recognized? Was a name something like,
Everybody
oh,
seems to be
settlers from
English?
French missionaries or French traders came through here and they settled in an area like this that I
They're
know.
all speaking the same language. They don't use the same translator, so they're speaking English.
Well, you remember when we had the whole conversation about the difference between the accents given to certain characters in the English dub versus the sub, where like you were saying that the Black Tri-Stars had a specific accent that you might have recognized when I pointed out that they seemed to speak like they were from Louisiana in the English version. And that's like, though that represents in the English version this other district of Japan that people come from that would have this sort of accent that you might have since you're in the episode pointing out what they use certain words that might represent things that weren't given in the subtitles, that you might then be recognizing dialects that I obviously wouldn't, that you could then say, oh, that must be representational of this or that. That's what I'm saying. When you said French China or something like that, it's like, what was your evidence? And if you're not pointing out stuff you know from the future, then I don't want to hear that. But if you were like, I actually have a really good tidbit of information about the history of China and French missionaries or settlers, and that's why I think it's here, then that would be fucking amazing, and I do want to hear that.
I mean, the church would probably point out to a place where you had missionaries, probably French missionaries. Korea also has a lot of churches, and it can be pretty hot in the summer, both in Japan and in Korea.
So I do really appreciate the insight, so don't take the laughter as not. It's just when you're going down things we know, near the bottom of the list has to be, and it gets pretty hot in summer.
Yeah, true.
Near the like when Sherlock Holmes is going through the mind palace of stuff we know, like Dr. House is trying to figure out what disease we've got, and it's like, it gets pretty hot in summer. Has to be near the bottom of the list of stuff we know.
It's supposed to be September, so I would think that summer. October. Well, yeah, we're no longer in summer, and unless it
closer
is the
to the
southern
equator.
hemisphere. no, actually, southern hemisphere, which this will be ramping up to the summer in the southern hemisphere, which again points to Southeast Asia because that's below the equator.
Southeast, below the equator, still, I'm South Korea, Vietnam.
Oh, no, dude, Korea is in the
I like you
north.
say, dude, as though obvious everybody knows what what Asian countries are south of the equator. That's something everybody knows. We're not even on the west coast of America to be closer to them to have that in my head. I'm sorry, I didn't sit around bored in class one day like, I'm going to study the globe for a bit. You know, I failed
I'm always
state
been
capitals.
fairly good with
you know,
maps and geography.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
I failed state capitals, but to be fair on my end, that's because I think I moved to like 3 different schools in 1 year. I didn't even get measurements. I went to a typing class once, again, middle school maybe, and they said type a paragraph, and I turned to the person next to me, what's a paragraph? Because I never got taught. Again, you move to different schools in different states and whatnot, and they have different curriculums. I just missed out state capitals, measurements, and I guess whatever class English that you learn. No, I would say whatever class you learn what paragraphs
English,
are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, surprising that I grew up loving to read but didn't know what a paragraph was. I read a page. Yeah, I was like,
yeah. A little less than that usually. Well, you can have a paragraph that at least a page long. That would be a pretty big chunk of.
Well, I mean, in this instance, though, I'm just thinking back to what places looked like when I say watched MASH or, Korean War movies or anything like that. So you're coming from, like, the weather. You're doing the Google Maps, or what do you call it? What's the game?
Civilization?
No, Google Maps, where you get a screen, you get a shot of where you are in the world, and you try to figure out where you are on a map.
Oh, yeah.
The Google Maps game. I can't remember what it's called. I figured you would know. You've known everything you've talked about in the last minute and a half. Anyway.
I am familiar with geography, so it's a thing.
Well, maybe we should play that game at some point. But what you do in that one, it's literally the Google Street View. You go to Google Street.
I've seen people doing it. Yeah. And they just random place. Somebody says, "Oh, that must be Russia."
Well, no, I mean, some
United
people are.
States
Well, I don't know what the guy I've seen who's best at it. It's literally like what are the polls of different countries, or the different ways that they do the roads. Because what are the things that are all going to be on all Street View maps? The road, typically, and the mile markers. But again, sometimes he's good at what the dirt is, or the cloud formations of typical countries. I mean, some people are real cheats, and they just know what the Google vehicle is like based on the shadow or something where that Google vehicle may have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just mean like you would be doing that. Like, oh, this place looks like it's this time of year, so it's clearly got to be south of the equator or whatever.
There you have it. Episode of,
also, what the fuck are you talking about now that I'm looking at a map of the world? You said Southeast Asia. Oh, sorry, never mind. I was talking about Korea. Sorry, I was looking at Vietnam again. I was like, Vietnam is right there near the equator. And when I was talking about the Philippines are right there too. I mean, obviously it doesn't seem like we're on islands, but could be. Yeah. We could be on a large island and near the middle.
The Philippine archipelago, it's pretty large. It straddles across the if I remember correctly, it actually straddles the
Philippine Sea, South China Sea, West Philippine Sea.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map, so clearly this is a cheat. So whatever you're about to describe, I'm literally looking at to fact check you.
I'm talking about the equator, yeah.
No, actually, it's north of the equator. Indonesia is crossing the equator on both sides. Again, I'm looking at the map, so whatever you think, I'm looking at the map. Philippines is north of the equator. I mean, not by much. It's like literally...
No,
it's literally crossing Vietnam. Not crossing Vietnam. I mean, it's like near the same...
Yeah.
I was about to say longitude or latitude, but then I realized I didn't know which one was which.
Longitude, latitude.
I have never really had to find a place on a map with longitude and latitude. I'm more familiar, in fact, with the Dewey Decimal System. Again, book nerd. Didn't know what a paragraph was. didn't know what a paragraph was, could adequately use the Dewey Decimal System.
Latitude is north to south. I got it wrong. I got it actually the opposite. Latitude is north to south, and longitude is east to west. I used to know that because I learned how to do map readings.
I mean, I'm
the thing with
pretty
map
sure I
reading
learned it
is-
at some point. I just don't remember because I haven't done it in maybe like 20 to 30 years.
I learned map reading from playing my old Commodore 64, F-19 stealth fighter.
Oh,
That came up with an actual map.
back to
and you
this
had to-
debate where I even told Rafferty what you said and he laughed. That you were talking about playing these high graphics, or even, high graphics for the time, games on your Commodore 64, and it's like, no, that's a very pixelated system that could not play those kind of games. Like, maybe you were playing, like, the Top Gun, like, NES game on your Commodore 64. I believe that.
The F-19 stealth fighter came out for the Commodore 64.
Again, I don't know what you're talking about visually, but the way you describe it, it comes across sounding like almost like a more modern game. Because I've told you before, I used to play on my Commodore 64 Tanks, which is much a game about angling your barrel and velocity and trying to shoot the guy at an angle on another plane with various different, weapons systems. Because the Commodore 64 had barely any graphics capability.
Oh, actually, had pretty good graphics.
No. You wouldn't be able to play Doom on that thing, or Wolfenstein, as the case may be. Yeah, no, it was barely capable of anything, and every time you described the games you played on there, again, I don't remember ever looking up what games you said, but going on your description of them. Like, it sounds to me like you were saying you could play, now I can't think of any. Not Starfighter. Wing Commander. Sounds to me like you're saying you could play Wing Commander.
No, that was clearly a PC game. I played it on
Yeah, that's
PC
what I'm saying. Is the
for
stuff you've just.
386, yeah.
I think, in fact, that's the debate we had last time. Is that you were
No,
playing.
it was about AMVs, and it was a mistake because I never claimed that it was full AMV. It was a game that is mostly known in other computers, especially in PC, as an AMV game.
I appreciate that you're trying to clarify an argument that I'm so far separated from anymore. I don't remember a goddamn thing other than the fact you said you played an AMV
under a
game.
Killing Moon. I think the game was under a Killing Moon.
Once again, all I remember is that you made the debate point that you could play an AMV game on a Commodore 64, and I was like, no fucking way. Literally no fucking way. I don't even think the screen that you could attach to a Commodore 64 could do it.
And the game that you could play in the Commodore 64 was Mean Streets, which was the first in the series from the Tex Murphy games. And I have the link here, and that's the one I played. Oh, well. Anyway, this was this episode. I enjoyed it a lot. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, please don't kill me. It's probably going to be one of my final thoughts. I probably have a bunch of them back to back, but I won't know until that happens.
Oh, so you have a list.
Well, I don't know. I've actually been considering it, do not resuscitate order, so maybe it is please kill me. You never know until it happens, right? If you're in an incredible amount of pain and it's no coming back from it, you probably don't want to be kept that way.
You do realize that when I say final thoughts, I didn't mean the actual final thoughts.
Well, you probably should preface what you're talking about. If you're ever going to make a wish
on the episode,
if you're going to make a wish with a genie or a monkey's paw, you really want to think about this for a lot longer.
Yeah, true. But what are your final thoughts on the episode?
Oh, on the episode, it was pretty good. We already. Again, the problem is re-recording, right? Then that's why the apology comes first. Is that you can't harness lightning twice, right?
Yeah.
So it is what it is, and again, apologies for that. But since we're done here for today, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions. That's a pink thing behind me. Goodbye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?